Okay, I think we'll get going. We've a really good lineup today. So very welcome to you all for our Cybersecurity Soft-landing webinar as part of the Seeds of Bravery European project. My name is Fionnuala Wall and I'm from a company called AxisBIC, one of the partners in Seeds of Bravery. I'm based in Ireland. One sec, I'm just stopping share there now, and we'll just... There we go. So Seeds of Bravery is a 20 million euro project funded by the European Union, which was launched in December 2023. Seeds of Bravery has become a driving force, fostering innovation and strengthening the tech ecosystem of Ukrainian startups. To date, nearly 4 million in grant funding has been distributed. We have received over 1,000 proposals, and nearly 200 companies have received grant funding. We have received applications from right across the globe, particularly obviously from Ukraine, but also from many other different countries. Seeds of Bravery is made up of 17 partner organizations and 2 associated partners. Some of those partners are very instrumental in the webinars like today. There are 5 different project programs where the startups can apply for funding. These start with the innovation services receiving up to 10K, rebuilding Ukraine up to 25K, and deep tech incubation up to 25K. But in addition to the financial grants, there are 17 non-financial support activities, similar to today's webinar. These cover a wide range of programs, activities, and initiatives like matchmaking, female entrepreneurship and leadership programs, tech tickets, market discovery workshops covering nearly 30 geographies right across Europe, fast-track programs building go-to-market strategies, and many, many more. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by 3 partners who are helped with the organization and the planning for this webinar. They are Erasmus Centre for Entrepreneurship, Innovate, and Luxinnovation. So many thanks to them, and you will see some of my colleagues from these groups on the webinar today. Today's agenda is a packed agenda. I'm not going to go through the whole agenda in the introduction, but safe to say we really are covering so many different areas with regards to an overview of cybersecurity within Europe. We'll start off with Anne-Sophie in a second, and then we'll have a look at Luxembourg's cybersecurity landscape, also from an investor's perspective, and also from certain startups' perspective, both growing and beginning. We will also have some interesting presentations on the EU regulatory framework and regulations. Now, to get started, I'm delighted to introduce Anne-Sophie van Varenberg from the European Cybersecurity Organization, who's going to give us an overview of the European cybersecurity. Anne-Sophie, you're very welcome, and many thanks for joining us. Before I go ahead, can I ask Kevin and Pedro just to turn off your cameras until we invite you to participate in the webinar? Thank you very much. So Anne-Sophie, I see, lovely, your presentation is up and running. I'm going to mute myself, and if you want to unmute yourself and get going, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you for the quick introduction. I'm very happy to be here with all of you and talk a little bit more about the European cybersecurity market as well as skills. I work for the European Cybersecurity Organization, and I will also talk a little bit about what we do within EXO and what it can bring for you as a startup in Ukraine as well. So first of all, a quick introduction and planning. I was a cybersecurity consultant at KPMG, and now I'm a manager for skills and human factors at the European Cybersecurity Organization. If you have any questions after this presentation, as I will only have 15 minutes, I will try to shorten it as much as possible. And if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to contact me via email. I will be more than happy to answer all of your questions. I will first quickly give you an overview about what EXO is and the benefits for you. and then a deep dive into skills and human factors, from which I'm the manager of, and then also market development, as I'm quite convinced that this can also be an added value for you to know a little bit more about it. So, first, what is EXO? The European Cybersecurity Organization is a non-profit membership-based organization that is established in 2016 as a partner of the European Commission for the public and private partnerships in cybersecurity. Over the years, it has grown largely, and today we have communities in different cybersecurity topics. All EXO members are spread over geographic Europe, so this is including Ukraine. And we have today around 330 EXO members with different types of members. It can be a large company, it can be an SME, a startup, a university, public administrators, or even clusters and associations, investors, or even also users and operators. We have 6 working groups in our organization, and each working group has their own communities working together with our members on different kind of activities. This can be events, webinars, platforms, and many more things. We have a working group for trusted supply chain, one for tech, innovation, and industry, one for threat management, and then one for policy analysis and outreach, and then the skills and human factors one, for which I'm the manager of. And then also market development, which I will also talk a little bit more about later. First, skills and human factors. I will quickly highlight some figures and some facts around cybersecurity skills in Europe. Today, we have 2 gaps in cybersecurity. We have a European workforce gap in cybersecurity. Europe faces a growing shortage of cybersecurity experts with around 3 million positions currently unfilled. The need for experts in cybersecurity is growing faster than we can currently supply them. We can solve this gap by, for example, bringing in diverse backgrounds or using transversal soft skills. While IT has traditionally led to cybersecurity, many now enter from diverse backgrounds. It's no longer enough to be a technical expert or a policy enforcer. In 2025, successful cybersecurity leaders are defined by their ability to navigate uncertainty and lead through changes. And that's also why these transversal soft skills are equally important. And we are often then talking about cross-functional communication skills, or, for example, crisis management skills. The other gap in cybersecurity is the European skills gap in cybersecurity. In this, we are then often talking about having the right mechanism in place, meaning talent need to be equipped with industry-relevant skills. And on the other hand, employers need to have the tools to attract and nurture these talents. What do we now mean with tools? These can be resources, these strategies, supporting systems. And that's also what we at EXO do with our different kind of activities, for example, our platform Road to Cyber, which I will quickly explain also later. The European Commission will invest 1.3 billion euros in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and digital skills through the Digital Europe program for 2025 to 2027. So these are all to just give you an idea that we are heavily investing in closing the skills gap and the workforce gap in cybersecurity. And not only the European Commission, but also other initiatives. And also we at EXO are doing our best to close the gap. There are different kind of recommendations when you search on the internet to close these 2 gaps. Some say stronger academia-industry collaboration. Others say then develop a comprehensive catalog of both technical and soft digital skills, promoting lifelong learning or integrating cybersecurity education from an early age. And of course, one important one is also the avoiding stereotypical campaigns and supporting the diversity in IT. We are all aware of the strong mismatch in the supply and demand of cybersecurity of experts. That's also why ENISA from the European Commission is trying to streamline an overarching categorization of job roles in Europe. That's why they also came up with the European Cybersecurity Skills Framework. What is this now exactly? These define 12 cybersecurity role profiles to standardize and guide workforce development across the EU. Very easily, it's a common language for cybersecurity roles. And ANISA is currently also reviewing this European cybersecurity skills framework and identifying the evolving skills that are needed, the gaps in the cybersecurity workforce, including, for example, artificial intelligence and data mining. So in the near future, it might be possible that these 12 roles change a little bit, or that there is another role that will be added in the future. The most critical cybersecurity roles today in Europe are the CISOs, the cybersecurity implementers, and a cyber incident responder. To give you a little bit of more information around skills and human factors, if you want to become, for example, an associated member of the European Cybersecurity Organization, you have the possibility to work with us to close these gaps. Our goal is bringing a cyber resilient, informed, and gender inclusive next generation of digital Europe. And we do that through different kinds of activities. And one of these activities is also bringing monthly meetings with our working group members, featuring updates and expert-led topic discussions. Besides that, we are also heavily trying to keep building on the relationship between Ukraine and Europe. One of these things is, for example, with our Women for Cyber Foundation. We have a mentorship program that brings together mentees and mentors. And also you in Ukraine, if you're a man or a woman, you can participate in this program and help, for example, a woman who is then a mentee or be a mentor as well. We also have the Ukrainian chapter. So if you're a woman in Ukraine working in cybersecurity, you can become part of our Ukrainian chapter and join our community in Ukraine. EXO has also multiple relationships with Ukraine. And so you can join as an associated member and collaborate with the European ecosystem. And not only on skills and human factors, but on all 6 working groups that I mentioned previously. Our biggest achievements for us in our activities is creating our Road to Cyber platform. This is a centralized European community platform for jobs and trainings dedicated to supporting you in your lifelong cybersecurity journey. What is there now on this platform exactly? For example, we have a Youth for Cyber page, which gives you an overview of all kinds of games to educate children around cybersecurity, a job board where you can post jobs, talent pool, a Women for Cyber mentorship program, but also Cyber Rangers, internship programs, training and certifications that you can upload. And we also organize job fairs. A very important aspect as well is the fact that this Road to Cyber platform is fully free. So you can use it, it's fully free, and you do not need to become a member of EXO for it. I'm also going to quickly highlight you the activities within our working group market development that my colleague Arnaud and Francisco are currently leading. So if you then become, for example, an associated member of EXO, you of course get access to these communities and these work streams. As you can see, there are 3 work streams, but maybe it's good to start with the mission of this market development working group. Their mission is to support the development of the European and local cybersecurity markets by shaping the cybersecurity investment landscape, fostering innovation, and strengthening the cybersecurity ecosystem across Europe. And for all of you, it might be very beneficial to be part of the SME to market stream. What is the benefits of this, of joining this stream? It helps you with finding fundings and market opportunities across Europe, share knowledge and build a community of SMEs, provide market visibility, and international networking and access to non-EU markets. So if you're interested, for example, of being part of this SME to market stream, I would highly recommend you joining and contacting my colleague Francisco, who is also the responsible of the regional approach stream. And there, of course, the biggest benefit there is supporting the development of local cybersecurity ecosystems. But maybe you're a startup who is still searching for investors in Europe. And then the investor stream might be beneficial for you, as these connect the investors with startups and scale-ups and with European stakeholders. If you're still looking and interesting, then it might be beneficial to contact, I don't know, my other colleague who is the manager for Invest for Cyber. So it can be very interesting for you as a Ukrainian startup to become a member of EXO and be part of this European cybersecurity startup community. Be aware that all organizations, small and large, located in Ukraine are eligible for an EXO associated membership.
It looks like Anne-Sophie's has just dropped off the call. I know she was having problems a little bit earlier with her internet connection, but we'll just see if she comes back on, because I know she'd probably want to finish that. One of the things that I did omit to say earlier was that we would prefer if you use the Q&A function, which is at the bottom of your screen, to ask any questions. If we don't get to them during the webinar, we will try and get to them after the webinar, but we'll try and get to as many as we can during the webinar. Now I don't. Oh, there's Anne-Sophie. She is back. Are you with us, Anne-Sophie? She's just joining there now. And also just to remind you that this webinar is being recorded. So, and it will be available in due course. So, Anne-Sophie? I think, yes, there you are.
Yeah, my apologies. Suddenly I disappeared.
Yes, you did. That's okay. If you want to share your screen again, and we'll keep going for about another 5 to 6 minutes, and we'll be fine.
I'm finished in a couple of minutes already.
Perfect. That's great.
So that we can already advance with the following presentations. But as I was talking, so we had the investor stream, the SME to market stream, and the regional approach stream. These are all very beneficial for you, of course, to join. And I think I finished my previously with saying that all organizations, small and large, located in Ukraine are eligible for EXO associated memberships. To give you a quick overview, as I only had 15 minutes to talk, and I think it's always useful to have an overview of all contact details. If you're interested in becoming an associated member of EXO, feel free to contact my colleague Patrick, who is the Members Relationship Officer. If you want to get to know more information about the activities that I do within Skills and Human Factors, you can always contact me. And if you're interested in the activities of the working group market development, then you can always contact my two colleagues, Arnaud for the investor stream and Francisco for the SME to market stream. And with this, I want to close up my meeting, and I want to thank you all very much. And I hope this webinar will be an added value for all of you. Thank you.
Fantastic, Anne-Sophie. Thank you so much. I'm presuming you're happy that we share your presentation with the attendees, because you have some very useful links at the end there. So I think that could be very useful for people, and they can also get in contact with your organization through that. So we will share that in a follow-up to the webinar. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anne-Sophie, for joining us. Thank you very much. Now I'm delighted to introduce my partner colleague, Ina Perpelitsa from Luxinnovation, who is going to take us through the next couple of presentations. Ina, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Fionnuala. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next session. So now we will explore how Europe, and especially Luxembourg, is driving cybersecurity innovation and startup growth. You know that Luxembourg stands out for its advanced digital infrastructure, forward-looking regulation, and strong public-private collaboration. So today we will have ecosystem players, investors, and founders who will share with you today how to grow and scale in Luxembourg and in Europe in this dynamic environment in cybersecurity. So I'm welcoming our speaker to share with you about Luxembourg cybersecurity landscape and the role of National Cybersecurity Competence Center. Carmelo Di Mauro, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Annie. And good afternoon to everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here, to have the opportunity to share some thoughts, some ideas, and some information with this audience. So, as the previous speaker said, we hope that this could be really beneficial for someone. So I try now to share my screen. Let me have the opportunity to find the presentation. Is there? Okay, so I hope that everybody have the opportunity to see my screen now. Okay, so my name is Carmelo Di Mauro. I'm working for the Luxembourg House of Cybersecurity, and we are a National Cybersecurity Competence Center. I'm Deputy Director of the NC3. The NC3 basically has a specific mission, and the mission is to support the ecosystem in order to increase their own capacity against the cyber threat. So basically, we are an agency that is a kind of spin-off, an agency that belongs to the Ministry of the Economy, and our main task is to stimulate the ecosystem in order, in particular, the small entities, small company, in order to improve the capacity to face the cyber threat, cyber risk, to improve the cybersecurity. Basically, we belong to an entity that is called Luxembourg House of Cybersecurity, and we have two different pillars inside. One is a CERT that is called CIRCON, and the other is the National Competence Center, NC3, Cybersecurity Competence Center. We work together. The CERT, of course, try to support the ecosystem in terms of, is helping the small company to manage accident. Instead, NC3, so National Cybersecurity Competence Center, helps the small companies, to improve their own capacity. Okay, so we work together, and we collaborate at the European level with other member states in order to implement the European policy and to implement the European strategies for cybersecurity. So if I have to little bit to provide you with an overview of our activity, I can define our activity. I split our activity in 4 different aspects. So learn, access, practice, and deploy. So if we are talking about learning, our activity basically is to help a small company to understand better what are the technicalities, what are the elements that are relevant in order to prevent or to manage risk related to the cyberspace. So basically, we have a number of tools that help people in order to start to approach this domain. And so we provide lecture, we provide training, we provide seminar, we provide sometimes just events where people can come and to discuss their own needs, their own challenge, and so on. The other aspect is related to access. So small company doesn't have that much resources, they don't have experience, they need to investigate what are their own posture against the cyber threat. So we provide some different environment and some different tools in order to facilitate this process of self-assessment or to opportunity for testing their own capacity. So basically we have a different type of tools like that we call fit for cybersecurity. There are a number of checklists, let's say they're checklists, because they can assess that by themselves what is the level, their own level of maturity. So small company, they can investigate what are the level of preparedness in order to face a cyber attack. Then we have a testing platform. So we provide for free some tools where the people can test the vulnerability of their own system. And then we have a more advanced and sophisticated tool like Room 42, where, for instance, an advanced company can come in order to validate or to test their own plan for rescue plan or crisis management plan. So as I said, these are self-assessment, some self-assessment tools like Fit for Cybersecurity, where after a number of questions, we are able to deliver a report that reports provide a score of the level of maturity of the small company. Of course, it's a really some simple type of test, but for us is important because facilitate the approach of new SMEs or startup to this problem of the cybersecurity. So the real goal of these simple tools are related to stimulate the ecosystem, to increase the awareness of the ecosystem, or to educate the ecosystem about cybersecurity and the regulation that are in place. So this is an example, another example of what are the type of evaluation that we are able to perform with these free tools. And so you can get some score that helps small company to investigate where is better to invest, where are the priorities for them, and so on. At the testing platform, again, we are able to test a simple system of company like the email system, the web application, and a little bit about their own infrastructure. Then we have some tests more specialized on IoT. But all these tools are free of charge. And we provide also training, and we help the company in order to use this tool. Room 42 is an immersive environment where we simulate some attacking scenario. So we simulate really the capacity of a company to manage a crisis. It's a simulation based on a scenario where all the main actors of that scenario, so the CISO or the head of resource or main resource is interacting each other, or IT experts are there to investigate what is going on, and so on. So the idea is really to have the opportunity to check what is the level of maturity, what is the level of preparedness of a small company in order to face a cyber attack. And then we provide also some tools for making risk assessment and risk management. So these tools help to list all the elements of all the components of an architecture, of IT architecture, but also to list, to perform risk assessment, and helps the company to perform a kind of prioritization of the mitigation activity. Then we provide, we have online also a cybersecurity observatory. So small companies are not able to be updated about what's going on the cyberspace, and they are not aware what are the most relevant or emerging threats. So we collect that information and we publish that information in a way that can be used by everyone. So basically, behind the technicality, behind the complexity of the information about threat intelligence and the data related to that threat, we try to just digest that information in order to make it more accessible to people that are not experts. Then, of course, we are able to let's say help a company in order to implement the requirements of new piece of legislation. So this part is more related to the compliance. So we take care that they are aware about new directive like CRR, like NIS2 and Artificial Intelligence Act. And we provide them relevant information, the most important aspect, information aspect related, what are the requirements of this piece of legislation. And for that reason, we have some templates that can help small companies, particularly small company, to implement this new piece of legislation, or to draft or to define internal policies. Of course, then we have also some platform where a company can practice can gain some skills and can practice the activity related to an accident scenario. So that means that if we put together all these elements, basically we are able to support the system, the ecosystem, the economic system, the small company that are not strictly related or involved on the domain of cybersecurity, but as we know nowadays, everybody is concerned about cybersecurity, or must be concerned about cybersecurity. So our role is really to support them in a way that they can start to be aware about this type of threat. So basically, we stimulate what's called on this domain GRC, governance, risk management, and compliance, of course, and communication. So all the tools that I briefly illustrate to you are basically mapped on this small diagram. And for that reason, in June, we are going to arrange the first international conference about the GRC, where we are inviting a lot of international experts to discuss what will be the future of GRC strategy. So this means that from my perspective, even though we have many experience, I think we are still starting in this domain. For that reason, I think our role is really important in order to stimulate the ecosystem, to understand what are the needs of the market, what are the needs of any type of business, because if we are able to make our ecosystem stronger, it means that the economy is more sustainable, and that's nowadays really important. Concluding, of course, we do a lot of other things, and we collaborate with Luxinnovation, for instance, but also with the Ministry of the Economy in order to provide also some funds and to collect application and project that can be financed, publicly financed. And of course, we, as I said in the beginning, we interact also with the European community. So we try to align our strategies, our policies, also with European ones. And then we have some collaboration also abroad, and we collaborate with a humanitarian institution like Red Cross. Okay, so basically I stop there. Of course, our role is relevant on our community, but I would like to stress that this type of work is being done in collaboration with many others institutions in Luxembourg, and that is really important because I mean, as we know, cybersecurity is not only a problem that is related to company, but you can see that problematic from different perspectives. So it's important to have the opportunity to share experience, to share knowledge, to share also the willingness to cope with this new challenge. Okay, I stop there, and I hope that I was able to provide you a general overview about the NC3 activity, but basically we are there for supporting small company in order to increase their own capacity, in order to become more resilient, in order to become stronger, and that means more competitive on market that is they are really fastly evolving. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, I will be glad to answer to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmelo, for your presentation, and we hope we can share this presentation, and our listeners can use your email and to ask questions what they interested in, and yeah, stay connected. And also thank you for sharing the event. So maybe one of our startups would like also to join. So feel free to contact us or Carmela for other steps. Thank you so much. And now we are moving. Thank you. And now we are moving to investors' lens, how they see to scale in cyber startups across Europe. And I would like to encourage you to use the Q&A section because now we're going to have amazing speakers who can help you to answer to the questions how to scale, which KPIs are important for investors and both for your company to grow. So I invite amazing speakers from NCT3 Ventures, Pedro Carrera and Christoph Bianca. And also Christoph also is, many of our listeners are co-founder of Exilium, and he did amazing M&A exits. So we will hear real stories, how to be successful and how to grow in Europe in cybersecurity domain. Pedro, Christoph, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ina. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ina, for the intro. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes, perfect.
So we're part of 33N Ventures, a VC fund that is specialized in cybersecurity and infrastructure software. And our main agenda today was give an overview of us at 33N, how we can be of help. What are some of the topics and trends that we see that are more interesting in cyber? How we also see the European opportunity, as we're talking here, a lot of people with the same interest in making the most out of the European market. Some learnings we have in sales and go-to-market and how we set up 33N to help. And then some views on how investors see metrics and how do they assess opportunities to invest in startups, right? And so how can you be in the mindset of an investor when you're talking to one? All right. So without further ado, I move to the first point. So about 33N Ventures. We are, in short, a VC fund that is specialized in cybersecurity and then also covering AI, data, and DevOps, very close topics to cyber. As a team, we are spread out across the globe, representatives from the West Coast in the US to Europe to Middle East and Israel. And together with this core team, over time, we also built a network of more than 50 expert advisors. These are a mix of entrepreneurs, tech executives, CISOs of different companies that help giving advice, supporting in assessing market, and also opening market commercial opportunities for companies, right? So this is a team that has been working already for a long period of time, and a network that is very tight and very close in the objectives. As an experience at 33N, we have in the past invested in more than 20 companies, again, spread across the world, the globe. And out of those activities, we ended up being exposed to 3 unicorns. One of them was a company, a leading company in the managed detection and response space in the US called Arctic Wolf. Today, already a very mature company, and that we backed from the early days at the Series B. And even today, the founders are part of our advisory board. Today in the fund, we're in the beginning of investing the new fund, so very much eager to connect with many of you that are considering the next steps regarding fundraising. And for now, we have 4 companies in the portfolio and expect to have many more soon. You can see also that together this team and the experience has been recognized as a top global specialized VC. So we are amongst a group of selected VCs that are very niche and specialized in cyber, right? Understanding what are the most interesting market segments in cyber, how to sell to CISOs and heads of security, and we're built from the ground up to support you being successful in the cyber market, right? On the bottom of the slide, you can also see our main mission. So we believe that there's a big opportunity to grow in Europe. As you know, many of you, Europe is coming from a lower base of spending in cybersecurity versus markets like the North American market. And so it today is still punching below its weight. So we could do much more in benefiting from the European scale. And Europe, with many reasons behind it, but Europe is now one of the fastest growing regions in spending, right? Both on the private sector, but also on the defense and government side. So there's really an opportunity in market, and there's also an opportunity in creating innovative startups and supporting them with VC venture capital funds. And this is what we were born to do, to support in this activity. So our objective is to build global category leaders and support them in being actually pan-European and then global. And we do this through understanding that market expansion, sales, marketing, partnerships, commercial partnerships, I mean, is the way to go, and we were built to support that. as I was saying, for 33and to be supportive in helping companies, we need to be part of the ecosystem, right? And so we look into having strong presence in key events, one of which is happening at this point in San Francisco, the RSA, a big conference, one of maybe together with Black Hat, the most relevant cyber conference globally. And so it is through these conferences that we also support and back the companies in being successful. And so we're having a big presence there, organizing a side event with Google for Startups and a few advisors and corporates that are close to us. We, over time, and this is a work that has been ongoing since inception, is building the network of investors that invest with us, other venture capital funds, other corporates, accelerators and incubators, and also advisors. And together, these are contacts that have been built for a long time and that today are very, very relevant to support the companies. And it's part of our value proposition to the startups that we invest in, right? In a very high level, we were putting together some of our views about interesting topics and interesting trends at this point in this year, 2025, around the cybersecurity market. And although this is not an exhaustive list, in our perspective, these were some of the most interesting topics that are still emerging, but where there's a lot of opportunity from our understanding. So I encourage the audience and others that may be looking into the video after the session. If you are building or looking to build in these segments, we'll be more than happy to exchange, connect, share our understanding about the market, about the opportunities that exist here. So very much looking forward to engage with anyone having insights or building in these segments. So if you look into, I'll go very briefly into each of the topics and just say one line about each. So if you go from bottom, you have a couple of core, we called it more the core cyber topics. And then if you go down, you can see that some of the topics there are just closer to the AI and data field. Although obviously there's not a gray, there's a gray area in between. It's not that there's a clear separation. AI is permeating everything. So even so in the core cyber technologies. So fraud detection is a topic that many of us understanding that Gen AI is being used by attackers. If it was already before an interesting topic, fraud has been a growing area of opportunity. So a topic where we spend quite some time. Compliance automation is another one. Many good tools we've been seeing coming out around automating compliance with a lot of agentic approaches. AI-powered hacking also very close to how can you do automated pen testing and how can you enable companies to be better using AI. Non-human identities, a topic very relevant and pertinent if you think about how agents will also have to be recognized as identity and how you track performance of agents across systems. Cyber investment optimization. CISOs are being pressured to make the most out of their budgets. So where can you spend your budgets to get the most impact and the most protection? Cloud security, very relevant also the first half of the year with a lot of acquisitions in this space of with security, but still a top 2 priority for CISOs that we see. Human-centric security, obviously the human element and being able to track that along systems. How can you shift left and do security for developer environments? GitHub, Copilot, and many other are becoming mainstream. And so how can you improve security when people are leveraging Gen AI to write code? The resilience and recovery also a big topic. How can you, if your system goes down, how can you quickly put it up again and have a minimum viable system to support your customers and your business continuity? And then going now more into the last topics, which are more AI and data, right? So data security, also a big piece. If you're coming into implementing a roadmap of Gen AI as an enterprise, data security is a big piece. Together with that, AI security, how can you protect your models and your data? And there's many companies also, even very recently, Palo Alto acquired a company called Protect AI precisely in this topic. AI governance, risk and compliance, very close also to AI security. And then some more, the last line more on the pure AI and data. So data quality, AI infrastructure optimization, how can you make the most of the investments that you do in AI infrastructure? And then the same in, if you look into the AI stack, what are the main pieces and the ones that are the most relevant to implement your Gen AI plans as an enterprise, right? So again, non-exhaustive list, some of the most interesting topics we've been spending time on, and very glad to meet founders and experts with views in these topics. Now I hand it over to Christoph to please carry on with the presentation. Christoph, feel free to say a few words about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. No, but as Ina was smart enough to introduce me, so I'm Christoph Bianco. I'm based in Luxembourg. I'm 30 years in security practitioner. So I co-founded my company that I sold to a French defense group where I'm part of still. And because I was able to exit thanks to the support of the GP of 33N, I'm now supporting the fund in assisting them to make the portfolio company more successful on the market and to navigate across that market. So as a continuity to the introduction of Pedro, perhaps I would like to highlight different things. So if for startups, US was always the next step in order to grow and to raise a lot of money, what we are seeing in cybersecurity that the current geopolitical situation create a strong interest to start to have more investment, more sovereign technology out of Europe, and to make sure that we are relying on technology that we can trust and are aligned to our value. But the issue for entrepreneurs is that it's a huge market to navigate. And that's why I think that we need the support of people that can help to interconnect the different ecosystem, to navigate into the different players. And if you look a little bit what we wanted to summarize on that slide, on the left side, you got the main driver that will make the Europe an interesting market. So for sure, the spending in defense. I think every week we are seeing a commitment from country to increase their NATO budget or to be part of the emergence of European champion. The second one, we are seeing regulation and data privacy a key driver in our business. And NIS2, for example, is a huge support in the industry. DORA is supporting the cyber deployment in finance. And now we are also everything relative to AI, which creates a sovereignty to deploy some technology. The last point is that, as you should all know, you can develop ventures without qualified talents. And we are quite lucky across Europe and the proximity of countries like Ukraine to get access to very well-educated talents when it comes to developing new technology. So having seen that, of course, we have the challenge of the European market. So despite the fact that it's a huge market, in fact, it's a very segmented market. And in order to navigate into that without increasing too much the spending you have to do when it comes to go to market, to sales, to marketing, to operation, you need to be able to leverage some capability and some connection. So around that, what we are seeing, and that's why Ina presented Luxinnovation, that's why you got also startup, you are seeing a lot of initiative in order to support the startups when they start to think about leveraging the capability on the European market. So Pedro, next slide. So for that, a fund like 33N has defined that the job of an investment fund like us is not just to put money in ventures. The job, and a big part of the job, and that's a big part of my activity through the fund, for example, is to help the portfolio company to get in touch with a partner, potential collaboration, fostering introduction to market player, and making sure that we can help the startup to navigate in that area. Just for you to understand, according to the different benchmark, we estimate that there's between 2,000 and 4,000 cybersecurity startups in Europe. So having seen that means that if you want to pop-ups in front of customer or to potential partner or to potential MSSP, all these kind of things, for sure, it will be not the jungle, but it's better to be friends of friends than trying to do that by yourself. And that's where 33N has decided to not only have a very, let's say, experimented financial task force, but also to create a network of experts in the domain. What about CISO, head of innovation people on EI and all these kind of things, in order to help us to navigate into what are the domain they are looking at the moment. And that's what Pedro presented to you, the hot topics. In order for us after that to come back to them and say, guys, we think that we have something that could be interesting for you to develop, co-marketing, go-to-market, or common offering, or whatever. And that's why we have selected this kind of companies. Sometimes we involve them in the short analysis or the due diligence process we are doing on some specific verticals, in order after that to help them to get in touch and to close business and to be able to be visible on the map. And I think that the key element at the moment, because even if there's a lot of budget available, even if there's a lot of initiatives, at the end of the day for a startup, what is important is getting customer. Okay, and so that's where we are putting a strong focus in order to support the portfolio company. So having seen that, the key point, and perhaps Pedro, you can move to the next slide and the last one. You have to appreciate if you are a startup, if you are VC compatible, and if you are, what is the positioning of the different VC on the ecosystem? And there's a few at the European level that are the best one for you to be supported. So as Ina said, I co-founded my company, I did an exit, so I'm spending a lot of time as a business angel also on the market to support with Luxinnovation and the House of Cybersecurity in Luxembourg, the early stage company. But in 33N, the capability we have developed is to help startup that got already a traction to expand more globally rapidly. So what does it mean? We are looking some specific metrics that give us a strong indication that the startup has already proven that they got a product, that they got a market, that they got customer. That's why we have put in place some metrics that are a little bit the filter that we are using to qualify if a company can benefit from our capability, or if it's too early, or that's quite often not the case, but too late. So what does it mean? When we look at the company, first we look at the potential market that you're trying to address and the timeline for that, because urgency is sometimes a key element for investor. The capability that you are demonstrated as a funding team. What are the team? Who are you? What are the technical capability? Have you done already some kind of things like that? Do you appreciate your market? Do you understand how to navigate? What is your scalability potential? Because it's not just the game is not just raising money, because when you raise money, that's the beginning of the game and not the end, as sometimes people think. So can you absorb that amount of money in order to set up the right team to address the right market and to rapidly demonstrate that you can have a scaling impact? And also, I think something important that quite often is underestimated by the funders is what are you looking in entering in a relation with a VC like 33N? What are the capability of the investor that you will benefit? And so my recommendation to founder is always to think in terms of what is my SWOT, what are my weaknesses, what are the opportunities, what is the threat, and how the VC can complement my posture in order to make sure that I can be fast and I can leverage the relationship we will set up. Because entering in a relationship with a VC, it's quite often a 5 to 6 year relationship. So, good things will happen for sure, but for sure, bad things will happen. So I used to say it's like a wedding. It's better to fix the condition and the term at the beginning because we will have to navigate together in order to make sure we get a success. So in order to put that in place, we also estimate or consider that you need to understand what are the things a VC is looking. I used to call it the VC game. What is the VC is looking in order to consider that the risk he will take by putting money on you will give him the return that the investor in the fund expect from the team. And so for that, we are, of course, looking at the annual recurring revenue growth because that gives us an indication that there's already a traction on the market with your product or services. We are looking at the annual contract value that you are able to generate. We are looking also the retention. Are you losing a customer? That's typically currently one of the concerns that we have as investor when we look startup in the ER field. Of course, the adoption is rapid, but I don't know you, but me, for example, I'm switched because ChatGPT to Claude to Perplexity, whatever, according to the news release that they are doing. And so the retention is not so good. So as I told you, we look an investment for the next 5 to 6 years. So we are not just jumping on hype topics, but on topics that first we think that there's a market for that, but also that it can be sustainable, okay? And so that's where you can benefit. So my advice to the people attending to that webinar, normally if you're eligible to the criteria that a fund like 33N has, normally Pedro and the team has already identified you somewhere through the network we have and the contact we have. If you're not in the stage that it's the moment to talk to 33N, I will encourage you anyway to ping us, because despite what people think again also here, entering in a relationship with a VC, it's the consequence of a mutual discovery. So, we are trying to identify early stage the potential successful funders. And we like to receive time to time news on their progression and what they are doing, what they are achieving, if they want some advice or whatever, because the day you will be ready to come in relationship, if we know you already, it will make the relationship easier to transform that into an investment. And keep in mind that the traditional game in the VC is when we start the discussion, we are trying to identify rapidly the red flag, so the reason to say no. And once we have waived a little bit the risk, we start to have the discussion regarding why we will have to say yes, okay? So if because we know you, we follow you for 1 year or 6 months or 8 months, we know the different steps that you reach and what you have delivered, means that it will be easier to spend some time to talk to you. Remember, I mentioned between 2,000 and 4,000 startups in Europe. So it means that any VC in Europe cannot talk to everybody. So we have to make choice. And so you will see that the next speaker, Kevin, is someone we know for long. We have not invited in 33N. I did personally as a business angel, but does not prevent us to give him advice or support or make some introduction when he needs, because that's part of the ecosystem. So whatever you posture, there's something that you have to learn from VC, and don't wait the last moment when you need desperately money to get in touch and to introduce yourself, because I think it's a little bit too late. So perhaps to answer I saw Pedro, there's 2 questions. I will perhaps answer to Marie and I'll let you answer to Ole. So Marie, Of course, there's more and more quantum discussion at the moment and post-quantum things. Just for example, in Luxembourg, I think over the last month and the three coming months, I think there's 6 or 7 events talking about quantum. The issue with quantum with a fund like 33N is that it's still a long-term game. So it's more deep tech related. And currently, the guys that are spending money in quantum at the moment are more governments because they need to prevent themselves. In the company I'm working at the moment, of course, we are investing capability in quantum, typically on the post-crypto capability. But for a VC like us, the life cycle of the investment will be a little bit longer than one we typically do. But for sure, I was in a roundtable yesterday at a quantum and AI event in Luxembourg. The issue is that if it will happen tomorrow, we have to be ready and quick. So we recommend the company to prepare themselves to anticipate what does it mean to be quantum ready, because there's a lot of things that will change in our world the day it will happen. And it's not just on crypto; it's also on AI and all that kind of domain where, let's say, computing capability is needed. So as Pedro said, whatever you're doing, we would like to understand what is the contributor to that European cybersecurity ecosystem. If you are attached to a startup ecosystem, if you are interested in moving or opening capability in some country in Europe, don't be shy to ping us, and for sure we will be pleased to give you an help or to consider a potential investment if you comply to the criteria we have put in place.
Great. Thank you, Christophe. And I like how you described the relationship between investor and founder. Yes, those who in Series A, B, C, they already know that it is a relationship, but for pre-seed, seed startups, it's not clear. And they think, as you said, they get money and and after work is done. But I would like a little bit to give more clear perspective with numbers about 33N. So you wrote in the chat, but I'm not sure if everyone knows, like to say, so your check from till maximum, right? And also, yeah, industries we already know that you focus.
Perhaps I can perhaps elaborate on the general VC aspect, and Pedro can complete on specifically to 33N. In the VC industry, we are raising money from investor based on an investment thesis. So we said to the guys, this is where we will invest. This is the ticket size we will invest. This is the characteristic of the company we will invest in. Based on that, are you pleased to give us money? Okay. Once we have raised that money, let's say 100 million, the challenge of the fund is to generate a return to the investor. So the typically model is that, let's say the fund of 100 million, we allocate 60 million for the initial investment and 40 million for the following rounds. And typically, a fund like us invest in the initial investment and follow the second round. So means that we allocate only 60 million to the initial investment. Based on that, in order to mitigate the risk, we need to allocate that money across a portfolio of company. Means that on an average, we put a ticket between 10 to 12 company in order to making sure that we will be able to return the money to our investor. Because if we are not, after the first fund, we can go back home because nobody will give us money anymore in order to work in that space. So understanding the dynamics will help also entrepreneurs to appreciate what are the typical level of fund they have to go after and what is the expectation they can have when it comes to ticket size. And so perhaps, Pedro, you can elaborate a little bit more on 33N.
Sure. So 33N is a fund of 150 million euros in size. And as Christophe was saying, our target is to invest between 12 to 15 companies. So it will be very focused in a few companies that we really think are the ones having potential, as we were outlining in this slide, right? And some of those, many of those metrics. And in check size, we will be investing between 5 to 10 million as a range, euros in per company, and the objective is then to participate, ideally to lead the rounds, and the rounds can go from 10 million to 30 million in size of round, right? So we'll be writing 5 to 10 million checks in rounds of 10 to 30 million in size.
Does mean, Ina, that most of the time, 33 invest in collaboration with other VC, just to have a bigger impact and a bigger ticket that will help the startup that got already the traction to move faster.
Great.
Precisely.
And also, I would like to talk more precisely about like numbers. Could you choose like top three financial metrics? And also, for example, IRR growth, don't come to us if it's less than 50%, or something like, to get the feeling, the range, which is interesting for you. I know the bigger the better, but like minimum.
I can comment just very, very high level that one of the messages we wanted to convey regarding metrics is that 33N is different. Many funds that are generalist funds, they mostly look at the financial metrics. So the first things that a traditional or generalist VC will ask is, please share your financials, your sales, your costs, etc. And then we'll assess and decide, right? If you are not specialized in a certain market, like cybersecurity, this is the way to go, right? Because you can assess a company that is doing cybersecurity or fintech or e-commerce in more or less the same way. You assess the financial metrics and you decide, right? 33N comes a bit from a specialist focus. And so our objective is to give a stronger emphasis in the fact that we know cybersecurity very well. And so for us, it's much more important that we have a strong, together with the founders, we really believe in the market that they are playing in. We really believe that their technology and product is very different and not going to be copied easily. We really understand the background of the team, how easy it is to scale and what are the ways to scale. And very typically, we look at financial metrics, but it's always as kind of the second level before or after having already the alignment on the first topics, right? It's very different again to other VCs. So we very much talk to a company and engage first, assessing this key areas of assessment in the slide, and then secondly, discuss with them the metrics and where they're going. Obviously, if you are a company that's growing faster, more efficiently, the better. And the metrics here, I mean, if you are in a seed stage or pre-seed, I mean, you're for sure looking to at least doubling or more, right? This is, I think, the ambition of investors. But again, at least for us, it's not a red line that we cannot cross. If we really like the market, the product, the company, the team, we can be flexible around the traditional financial metrics, right? Because we as investors, we invest in the future, and the financial metrics only show the past, right? So we're very much betting on the future together.
Great. And one last but very short question. I like how Christophe said that during the first meeting, we tried to find the red flag, why not to invest? Because I know it's a big funnel, you should screen many startups. Could you please share one or two, without, of course, mentioning names, like red flags that founders would understand what is red flag for specialized VC?
So I'll let Pedro to give his answer, and I will give mine.
I'll be very short. I think the game is very easy to play, to find one thing to point and then not to go forward. Because of that, we try to also to think the opposite, as how can we, if we could work together with the founders in this red flag that others see, what would the opportunity be, right? So this is what we try to do.
And I will perhaps complement a little bit, especially for more early stage ventures. As investor, we know that the life of the founder will be difficult. And so he will have to adapt himself and his team to a different strategy, change perhaps the business plan and whatever. So what is important for the investor, like Pedro said, the team, in terms of can they adapt to that? Do they know really their market? How long have they spent in that market? So someone coming to me and say, Christophe, I will disrupt the quantum business because I think I have a good idea. So that's nice, but that's a good story. But show me that you spend 1,000 hours in the domain in order for showing me that you are credible on that. So, our job sometimes is also to give feedback to founder in order to help them to be more realistic and more pragmatic. And at the end of the game, we are not trying to look the more sexy one or the more smart one or whatever. We are trying to detect the one that we can, with our support, be, let's say, able to disrupt their market and to navigate into that. Pedro mentioned that in the team has globally more than 3 unicorn at the success. So means that they help founder to navigate the difficult time of COVID, scaling, going outside internationally, and all these kind of things. So for that, we need to have a kind of, let's say, open relationship and talking about the good things, but also the bad things, because it will happen. So the capability to the team to react and to be resilient. I prefer resilient than pivot, because pivot says everything and nothing, but resilient will be the key, because creating a venture, it's a 10 years of your life, and most of the time is the only opportunity to make it. So that's our job also as investor, to shake a little bit the tree in order to make sure that it will resist to the journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Pedro and Christophe, for joining our webinar. And I hope our listeners would use this opportunity to connect with you via LinkedIn and to ask direct questions and connect with you. And I would like now to move to the founder who managed to convince Christophe to invest into his company. So now we will have a fireside chat with Kevin Müller, founder and CEO of Passbolt. Kevin, welcome. Hello, Kevin. I can hear you. No. 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 Christophe, we don't hear you too.
I was joking that Kevin is back from 2 weeks in India for meditation, and so he's in another world. So that's why we are not hearing him, I think.
Yes, but I was thinking maybe to use this opportunity. Kevin, still you can't. Christophe, could you do you have a few minutes to share how did you meet Kevin?
So I met Kevin, I think 4 years ago, because he was part of an initial investment from the early stage ecosystem of business angel in Luxembourg, and he joined the Luxinnovation Fit for Start program, and he was thinking to a seed round, and so that's how we have been connected together. And based on that, we start to discuss together about what he wants to achieve, what he needs to discover from the VC industry. So I help him to get. Yes, perfect.
Yes,
Good.
perfect.
So we get in touch with that. So I invested in Passport as a business angel. Then I help him to navigate a little bit and to support him in Europe to be exposed to typically in Netherlands to the EXO event regarding startups. And now I'm an happy investor because I'm still in his cap table for his Serie A, and he's making a good job. So he will help me to retire healthy.
I hope this will happen soon.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. Thank you so much, Christoph. You save us.
You're welcome.
Yes. Kevin, now we can hear you and see you.
Perfect.
Yeah, so tell us about, like, first of all, probably not everyone knows what Passport does. So could you please explain what problem do you solve for your clients?
Sure. So hi, everyone, because I didn't get the time to say hi. And a great presentation, Pedro and Christophe. Thanks, Ina and the team for the organization. Okay, few words about Passport. We are a cybersecurity company based out of Luxembourg. We've been operating now since almost 8 years. So we are not a young startup anymore. We are the editors of a solution called the same as the company, Passport. And Passport is a credential and access manager that is built to empower technical teams to manage passwords inside their organization. So it's a solely B2B tool that teams can install in order to centralize, organize, and share all their accesses and credentials. The software has one particularity, it is that it is open source and also built for collaboration. So we are helping teams share credentials in a secure way among each other. And just to give you a few numbers, Passport is adopted currently by 40,000 teams in more than 100 countries. And among these teams, we have organizations like government, defense agencies, some militaries, but also a lot of startups and SMBs. And as Christophe mentioned, we are also a company that's raised funds. So to date, we've raised around 10 million euros through multiple rounds. And our latest round was a Series A at the beginning of this year.
Great. And talking about your clients, also because obviously I saw your pitch deck before. Regarding your competitors, most of them are based in US and they are much bigger, right? And what's your USP and how you manage to compete in this world?
There is a particularity of our business model that is great, but that VCs hate. It is that the business model is based mostly on virality and word of mouth. And this is due to one attribute of the software, which is the fact that we are open source. And the fact that we are open source and that we have developed software that focuses on one pain point that most technical teams have is giving us a lot of adoption among these technical teams. So we create value for them by helping them, like any technical team will have the problem of centralizing, organizing, and sharing their passwords. Technical team, they have a lot of credentials to handle, and usually they do not know how to. It's easy to handle it for yourself, but when you're working with a team of 10 or a team of 50, it becomes less easy to know who should have access to what, to trace who had access to the latest version of this credential, and then you need a system to handle that. So we are basically solving this pain point for them. And we are providing a free open source solution that anyone can download, install on their server, and get started, and they don't even need to talk to us. So obviously, this gets these technical teams quite excited. And when they love a software, they tend to talk about it. And this is our main growth engine to date at Passport. This is word of mouth, people talking about us. And if you go to YouTube right now, and if you type Passport, you will see that we have literally hundreds of videos of people explaining how you can connect Passport to this system or how you can install it on this server. And this is the engine behind our growth. Now, this is great, but one of the problems of this type of engine, it is that how can you accelerate it? When your growth engine is based on a sales team, it's easy because you'll be like, okay, I'm gonna add 2 sales, and they are gonna talk to that many opportunities a month, and I know that my conversion rate is gonna be X%. Hence, by adding X amount of sales, I'm gonna grow at Y%. But how do you grow word of mouth? This is a bit more difficult. You know, this is not one magic button to press and then suddenly the virality will grow exponentially. So in the case of PassBolt, this was both a good point, but also a bad point in some conversations with the VCs. Because when looking at the business, some of them were not convinced that we could basically add layers on top of this growth engine. But obviously, they are the ones who understand open source, who understand the importance to be community driven, and who understand the metrics behind our business model. And this is the type of VCs that we decided to work with.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you can't control word of mouth unless you are viral and having an amazing product. Yeah, and thank you for sharing this. I hope that founders who are outliers, who don't go the obvious route, so you can be inspired by PassBolt. Just don't give up and improve your product. And when we have issues with to hear your speech, Christoph already give amazing insight about you and your team in India. So could you please tell your founder's journey and soft landing in Luxembourg, India, France? How did it happen?
Yeah, so yes, obviously it's not common to have a team of French founders who were based for so many years in India and then decided to come back to Europe. Well, in our case, India happened almost by accident, I have to say. I myself ended there for an internship and then decided to stay there. And what I thought would take 6 months took 15 years. And I managed several companies and startups there. I founded several companies, and basically PassBolt was born inside one of those companies. So it was not a deliberate choice to start PassBolt from India, but this is what happened. And it started because we were a digital agency of around 100 people, and we felt the pain point of not having a solution to manage our own credentials. And then we started looking at existing solutions in the market, and we realized that most of the solutions were designed for the consumer and not for organizations, and mostly not for technical teams. So the initial impulse behind PassBolt was not, hey, let's create a startup and make money. It was, okay, let's fix our own needs. And I think it's usually very important in the founding story of a startup when the founders felt the need at some point, because it means they understand exactly what their users will go through. Obviously, from there, we built the first version of the solution, and we started using it with our customers, and we realized that we are not the only one with this pain point. And this is when we decided to take this project seriously and find a way to commercialize it. And exactly at that moment, when we had launched PassBolt Community Edition, so once again, no business model, no commercial traction, no revenue, but a very good growth in terms of daily active users. Then we heard of this new acceleration program called Fit for Start. So it's a Luxembourg-based acceleration program, which is quite awesome, if you want my opinion, because they do not take equity. They give a very good grant to get started. So 50K in order to get after your admission in the program, and another 100K after your graduation from the program. So it's 150K equity free. And the only condition is to establish your office in Luxembourg and to build whatever you are building from Luxembourg. So we heard of this program, decided to come to Luxembourg in order to participate in it and later graduate. And from there, everything went really fast. So at the end of the program, we got our first investment offers, initially from business angels, and then later from the first VCs. So we raised funds from VCs very early on. Our first VC fund to invest in PassBolt was Expand Capital. They are also Luxembourg-based. And obviously, Luxembourg is also very attractive for a lot of other reasons. So it's an international country. Everyone is you will find a lot of educated workers here. So a lot of developers, also a lot of cybersecurity practitioners. Everyone speaks English. So if you want to grow an international team, I would say this is a really good place to be. So we didn't know all this. We realized it along the way, but now we are obviously, our headquarters is based in Luxembourg. So half of our team is based here and half of the team is remote because we are a remote-friendly company. But super happy to be in Luxembourg, and I would say to any founder out there that if you do not know Luxembourg, come here and have a look, because it has definitely a lot of interesting attributes for founders.
Oh, thank you so much. You shared about our ecosystem such great information, and unfortunately we are running out of the time for our slot. So just looking back, to your founding history, what's one thing you wish to know before launching a cybersecurity startup in Europe?
This is an interesting question. It's a bit funny, but I don't think I understood when I founded Passbolt that it was a cybersecurity company. I thought I was building some productivity focused SaaS tool to manage credentials, and I learned down the line that, okay, look, it has to be extremely secure, otherwise this is not gonna work. This is part of the discovery, right? You start with an idea and then you discover what you are building along the way. And one of the particularity of the cybersecurity industry is that you cannot really move fast and break things, which is what most startups are trying to do. You talk to any AI company right now, they will just tell you, we need to build as fast as possible. We'll move fast, we'll break things, but that's okay, because that's what we can do with the tools we have, and we just need to get adoption and things will be fine. But in cybersecurity, it takes years to build trust, and it takes 1 second to destroy it. It's like you can spend 10 years building a very strong tech, and then you will not pay attention to one little detail that is related to your security model, and you get breached. That's it. It will take you years to recover from this incident. So I would say this is something I probably underestimated when I initially started Passbolt. And because it takes time and because you need to put a lot of effort in it, anyone interested by founding a cybersecurity startup should know that it is capital intensive. It's going to take time. There is no shortcut in building a cybersecurity startup. So you are in it for the long game. Better be in love with your idea and your product and what you are building, because you cannot be discouraged after 2 or 3 years. It's really a long game. So that's what I wish I would have known before starting Passbolt. But still all good.
Great. And even one of the participants already asked similar questions. So in terms of threats, actors, and wide range of risks in cyberspace, what are the main cybersecurity risks for SME are coming from state actors, non-state actors, criminal and insiders? And what are the top CS risks for SMEs?
Well, I would say it depends on your industry and your type of SME. There is not one answer for all this. If you are building something that's sensitive, then the threat can come from state, obviously. At Passbolt, we are still an SME, if you look at us from this perspective, and we are constantly under attack from states. So obviously, states are after cybersecurity companies because they know that if they breach one, they will get access to much more data behind it. And then there is also a lot of fraudulent actors in the market, in the dark web, or like hackers just trying to make a living for themselves. So the threat is basically coming from everywhere. The only difference between regular hackers and states is that states, they have way more money. So if they decide that you are a target, they probably have the means to really harm you, and this is what you should pay attention to.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you again for promoting Fit for Start, because today we're also not only having Ukrainian startups, but also startups from Fit for Start current edition. So I hope they will be inspired by your story and manage to scale as you soon. Thank you for joining, and see you soon.
Thank you, Ina. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you, Ina. Thank you, Kevin. That was a really good session, Ina. So really interesting to hear from the investors' perspective. So now we are going to move to our next presentation, which is from Ronan Coleman, who is the Director for Cyber Innovate in Munster Technological University here in Cork, in Ireland, and in Kerry. And Cyber Innovate is an entrepreneurship training program for students. And Ronan will be talking to us today about Cyber Innovate, an EU-funded, needs-led program driving innovation and startups. So Ronan, I'll ask you to if you want to turn on your camera.
You can probably hear me there okay, Fionnuala, yeah?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Do you want to turn on your camera?
I can't, it's disabled.
Okay, please. We saw you when we, oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. And if you want to share your screen.
Sorry, I'm just having problems here. Sharing it.
I can share it, Ronan, if you're having problems.
Just give me 1 sec.
No problem at all.
Yeah, it's actually my laptop is stopping it.
And just a reminder to our attendees that don't hesitate to use the Q&A function to ask any questions, and we'll bring them to the attention of the speakers. The speakers also see them in the Q&A function, so they may also answer them directly there if necessary.
Okay, sorry, Fionnuala, yeah, it won't allow me to share it for some reason. So can you share it for me, please?
Yeah, I can indeed. No.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for the invite today to speak to you. Might move on to the next slide. So I suppose Cyber Innovate is a bit different. It's kind of like an accelerator program or a startup program, but I suppose the piece that's different to a normal incubator or accelerator program is the people who come onto our program don't actually have an idea coming in. So the idea, I suppose what's unusual is we spend the first term of the program going out and finding cybersecurity problems or needs. We find lots and lots of them, and I'll go through the numbers later on. And then they go through a process of validating that there is an operative problem there first, come up with some potential solutions, and then come up with potential. And then once they go through, in some cases, they come up with 5 or 6 different projects. They pick one, and then they work through a second process then to validate it as a commercial opportunity. Once they've done that, then at the end of the first term, it turns into the more traditional market research, business planning, all those aspects of developing a new startup. So the piece that is different, and I'll talk a bit more about it later, is this immersive environment where we basically bring them out into industry to observe and engage with cybersecurity professionals doing their roles with a view to understanding the issues that they face, and then, as I said, identifying the specific problems. So if you go to the next slide, please, Fionnuala. So the program then, as I said, the first term in semester 1, they basically do a number of modules. They do design thinking, customer development, or the lean startup methodology, and then they pick an elective. So the elective then is generally, with some of the people coming onto the program are coming with a commercial background. We encourage them to take up a cyber skills module, and then the more technical people, we'd encourage them to take up a more business focus. It could be market research, it could be financial, it could be business planning. And then they move into semester 2 then, once they've kind of uncovered the problem they want to find. They do some early prototyping and testing, very much like a low fidelity testing. And then they move into cyber commercialization, which is market research, regulatory assessment, and then finally they move into the cyber startup journey and planning. In most cases, they don't move on to it. We have one student out of 12 this year is going to do the MSc, where she's actually going to work on doing a bit more research on the solution she's come up with over the summer, with a view then to kind of developing it under an R&D program. So Enterprise Ireland fund this in also, so it's basically 60% funded by Enterprise Ireland, who's a state funder in Ireland, and then the other 40% is funded by the EU through the European Regional Development Fund. And the funding that we've received, it's 7 million over 6 years, allows us to pay the students 38,000 euros each, which gives them basically the time to basically focus on finding a cybersecurity problem for 10 months and then going on to start the business. It also covers their fees, and the only stipulation is they can't work during the year. If they work in alternative employment, then the 38,000 that are getting paid is no longer tax-free, and they have to pay Irish tax on it. So might move on again there, please. So we have a three-phase program, 3 phases to the program: explore, evolve, and execute. I go into a bit more detail. You might just touch the button there, please, Finola, just to show where we are. There we are. So basically, the explore phase is going out trying to find cybersecurity problems. Once they've done that, then they go deeper into it, trying to understand the customer segment and the problems that they've identified. And then in the third phase, then they move into defining what their MVP is going to look like, market research, and then business planning. So the first cohort of it's the first year this program is run. The first cohort now are in that stage of market research and commercial planning. And in one case, they have actually started up a company already with 4 or 5 teams on the go at the moment. So you might move on again there, please. So phase 1 is basically, it's design thinking. Phases 1, 2, and 3, empathize, define, and ideation. So what they're doing is basically going out into our immersive environment, which is basically 8 partner companies, where they spend 2 days in each partner company, meeting with their cybersecurity teams and trying to understand the problems faced across multiples of roles. So we had all sorts of different types of companies. We had 2 security observation centers, or SOCs, and the rest of them were bigger. In 6 of the other 7 would have been, or 5 of the other 6 would have been large multinationals that would have large cybersecurity teams with multiple roles, where they've try and build an understanding of the different problems faced by different individuals across the whole cybersecurity team structure. So once they've kind of done that thing of understanding what their customers, the issues that they're facing, they spend some time then coming up with ideas and concepts about how they might potentially solve that particular problem. So their end goal at the end of that phase is to have a potential solution to a problem that they've identified in the first phase. And I said in parallel as well, they've done their elective on either cybersecurity or a business related one from our Department of Management and Enterprise. Might move on again, please, know that. So phase 2 then is we basically bring over a team from Georgia Tech who are internationally recognized experts in the customer development, or this is multiple names: customer discovery, lean startup, or evidence-based entrepreneurship methodology. So the idea behind this is you come up with a particular customer segment that you think is, say, so for example, it could be a SOC level 2 analyst is my customer segment. You define what your proposed solution is for them, and why is that of importance to them. So what problem are you solving? Is it to make something quicker, faster, more accurate, cheaper, whatever it may be? So the idea is you come up with this business thesis of, this is my customer, this is my proposed solution, and this is my value proposition. And then you go out and interview 50 people who are representative of that customer segment. In many cases, the teams would have pivoted, realized that the person that maybe they originally identified isn't the right person, or the proposed solution that they're offering to them needs to be tweaked, or maybe thrown away and something else completely different come up with. Or is the value to that particular group maybe isn't what you thought. So you might have thought that speed was of the most importance, whereas maybe it was accuracy is more important. But by doing these 50 interviews, you get a really clear understanding of who the customer is. So by Christmas, most of them would have been at the point then where they've a clearly defined high-level concept, business concept, which they then bring through into phase 3, which is in the design thinking, prototyping, and testing phase. So might move on again. So in the last, after Christmas, basically, they start by developing prototypes and concepts. Now, these could be wireframes, visual images, it could be a description. There's no technology development at this point. It's actually very much, something they can show to somebody and say, if we built this, would this solve your particular problem? And go through an 8-week process of validating that and tweaking it again. Once they're happy that they've got something that they want to move forward with, they start doing market research on the actual wider market for that particular area. Obviously, they want to work out that there's a big market opportunity there and it's something worth addressing. So there's no point in developing a solution for something if you only have 5 customers globally that want it. So you need to do the normal stuff that an investor is going to be interested in to validate that there's a big market and a clear opportunity for this proposed technology. And once they've done that, then they use that information combined with what the proposed product or service is going to be to develop a business plan then, which in our case, they'll be pitching to a bunch of Irish VCs over the coming weeks. With a view then to begin to securing investment, or in some cases they'll go back, they'll stay in the college or university environment and spend a year maybe developing it out as a technology before then going on and getting investment. So I suppose they're getting to that decision point now. Probably at the end of May, they'll be making up a decision: am I going to do a startup? Do I need to do further R&D within the university sector, or am I just going to go back into my old job with a different skill set that I didn't have a year ago? And I suppose one thing to add is there's 12 on the program each year, and they work in 4 teams of 3 at the start, and then that kind of changes as time goes on and people move around or find different people that they want to work with, or something, a technology that resonates with a different person. So you might move on again, please. So I said we came up with this idea of 5 different components of our immersive environment. So we use things like tabletop exercises, going in and the plan was to go in and observe people working in SOCs or security observation sectors, doing interviews with people, going out and doing field work in OT environments. The plan was to engage with a multinational in the OT space and observe the issues that they're facing. And then lastly, we developed a smart maritime challenge that was developed for us by Airbus, which was basically a capture the flag competition. And I'll talk a bit more about that. And you might move on again, please, Finola. So these were our industry partners for the program. In the first year, we visited 9 of them. You can see there's some fairly big names. The only one that would be an SME is the ICBF. They basically have a repository of all of genomic data of cattle across Ireland, but the rest of them are all big multinational players that would have had fairly well established and large cybersecurity teams that we would have engaged with. You might move on again. And we also have a host of innovation partners. So Georgia Tech from the US, they actually deliver the customer discovery training at the start of November, and then work with the teams up until Christmas on validating that process. Cyber Ireland are the industry cluster. They're actually based here in Munster Technological University as well. The Alacrity Foundation and the Cyber Innovation Hub are 2 Welsh organisations that are very much focused on cyber innovation and startups, and they're actually sitting on our advisory board. Cyber Skills is an internal group at MTU that offer, well, also with a number of other universities that offer CPD type cyber training to cybersecurity professionals. And the Commonwealth Cyber Initiative is a 51 organization member, or 51 organizations in the US focus on cybersecurity, but both in industry and universities over there. We have very strong links with. Might move on again. So what worked well in year? So this was a trial in year 1 to see, and you might press the button there again, please, to know that. What worked well in the first year was we did interviews. The Smart Maritime Challenge, it would have worked well, except it was quite late in the process. We should have done it earlier, just it wasn't ready to go. It was the first year it was being developed. And tabletop exercises, where a number of the companies involved ran through their tabletop exercises to demonstrate how they respond. So the thing that worked really, really well and probably gave us our biggest output was interviews. And then you might click the button there twice more again, please, to know that. And maybe once more again, yeah. Anyway, sorry, once more, yeah. So we also had a number, if you go back again, please. Back up, please, yeah. Yeah, there we go. So we had 21 guest speakers in term 1. They were all cybersecurity experts, again, coming in, talking about their experiences, problems that they're facing or seeing coming up in the industry. We got the teams to present every week on something that they saw in the media that was relevant to the cybersecurity space. We managed to do 4 out of the 10 weeks there that we were planning on doing it. And then we attended a lot of cybersecurity conferences. So the whole of the first term was about building up their exposure to the cybersecurity industry sectors and seeing different problems that arise for cybersecurity professionals. So you might move on again. And if you click on again, please. yeah, so the things we didn't really get to work with in year one is the whole observing people working in SOCs didn't really work for us, because going into a SOC, you could get people to explain what they're doing on a daily basis, but you're almost waiting for something to happen, which doesn't really, unfortunately, with cyber, it doesn't work that way, where people can create problems just to create a scenario for you. And then we had one company lined up to be our OT partner. That didn't work out in year one, so we have something else in mind. And the one thing we felt we missed this year was we didn't have enough SME engagement. We have ideas about how that might work next year, about how we might bring SMEs or maybe managed service providers in to expose them to the students in order to understand the needs of a bunch of SMEs rather than just individual ones. So there's things we're going to trial there next year. So you might move on again, please. So our highlights to date is the immersive environment. We had excellent engagement as again, this was a trial the first year. We had really, really good engagement from our industry partners, and the discussions are really open. Once the companies realize that we're not there to critique their company, we're there just to try and understand the challenges faced by their cybersecurity teams, they were very open to engaging with the students, and we kind of got better at doing it as we went along as well, or they got better at doing it. So what worked also really well was they had done a lot of design thinking interviews, say for the first 10 weeks, and then moved into customer discovery interviews for the next 6 or 7 weeks. Because they had done the design thinking module, they were able to very quickly move into those interviews, because the techniques and the type of the method of interviewing in design thinking is exactly the same for customer discovery, where you're trying to do open interviews and get the client or the customer to tell you their problems rather than you trying to force the conversation. So if you click on the button a couple of times there, so we identified 435 different needs, which led to 38 different concepts being developed. And that's now led to five projects that are up and running, with one other one under investigation as well. Okay, I go again. So where we are currently for year two, our closing date was the 31st of March for this year's recruitment for going into starting the academic year in year two, which will be at the end of August, start of September. 120 people started applications this year, and we received 37 applications were actually submitted. So about 1 in 3 made it through to being submitted. We are cognizant at the moment. I think there is a bit of nervousness at the moment, given the globally geopolitical situation, that I think people aren't as keen to jump ship and to kind of start up, given I suppose the nervousness in the industry globally at the moment. So we do feel we were down a little bit from last year, but we do have 18 very good candidates for our recruitment day, which will take place in a couple of weeks. And just if anyone's of interest, this is what we're kind of looking for on an ongoing basis ourselves, is anyone who's a genuine interest in becoming an entrepreneur, who doesn't have an idea and wants support in working in a really tight-knit group, getting lots of exposure to cybersecurity problems. It's every year. I know we've missed it now for this year. We are open up until the 31st of March to receive applications for the following September. So we're looking for companies or organizations who'd like to participate in our immersive environment. We're looking for people who could be potential customers or partners of our students, and then the teams or the companies that they start. We're looking for cybersecurity or commercialization experts who'd be willing to maybe mentor or advise the students on a formal or informal basis. And also, we're always looking for guest speakers. As I said, in term 1, we had 21 cybersecurity topics. In term 2, they're more commercial. Most of the people are talking, they're either investors or the people who've gone on the startup journey, or something to offer commercially or entrepreneurially that would be of interest to the students. Okay, might move on there again. So yeah, so I suppose this is the last slide. So I suppose a year one summary is we have 12 students working in teams. That's varying from teams of 3. We have 2 teams of 3 down to 1 person working on their own. It's completely up to themselves. Like, we try and encourage them to stay together until Christmas and then make a decision how they want to proceed. With 9 company visits, we identified 435 problems, which led to 38 concepts and 5 potential products. They carried out over 300 customer interviews with cybersecurity teams, developed 23 different prototypes, They've done 59 customer demos through the prototyping and demonstration phase of the design thinking. We had 41 guest speakers to date, with a few more to come. And we actually have one startup registered already, even though the program isn't finished yet, with a second one probably due to register in the next couple of weeks. So I suppose just to finalize that is this model of needs-led innovation is based on one that's been very successful in Ireland in the medical device sector. But the key difference is the medical device sector, it's like they often spend 3 or 4 years doing the customer discovery, needs innovation training, and then they kind of do an R&D project in the university, and then they start the company 4 or 5 years down the road. Whereas the nature of cybersecurity is we have the capacity to build companies very, very quickly. We'll get them started quickly. They still need to go and develop their companies. So I know that was a kind of very quick whistle-stop tour, but if anyone has any questions, I'd be delighted to answer them.
Great. Thank you, Ronan. Thank you very much for sharing that whistle-stop tour and good food for thought. We will move on. I don't see any questions in the Q&A unless some come in the meantime. And we've decided that we might just go straight in. We don't have actually too many presentations left after, so we're going to skip the break and go straight into Lorcan Moylan Burke from DLA Piper. So delighted that you could join us, Lorcan. Lorcan is a senior associate specializing in data privacy and cybersecurity with DLA Piper based in Dublin. So delighted to have our partners DLA Piper contributing to this presentation. So Lorcan, do you want to share your screen there? As with Ronan, I do have your presentation. So if
no problem at all. No, it should be okay. Let's see.
That's looking okay.
How are we doing there?
We're looking good.
All right.
Great.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Fionnuala, and I'll kick on. And thanks again for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all today. And it's been fascinating to listening to so many wonderful insights and thoughts and industry leaders in this space. So the topic that I'm going to be talking about is really giving you a kind of an overview in terms of what the EU regulatory landscape looks like when it comes to cybersecurity. And starting things off, it's important to bear in mind that about 5 years ago, the European Commission launched its EU Digital Decade Initiative. And really what this initiative is looking to achieve is building Europe's digital transformation by 2030. And it's going to focus on in terms of empowering businesses and citizens in a really kind of like centric, sustainable way, focusing in, for instance, on the likes of digital skills, ensuring that at least 80% of the population has basic digital skills, increasing the number of ICT specialists as well, digital transformation of businesses, the digital transformation in terms of public services, encouraging that, let's say, 75% of European companies adopt digital technologies like cloud computing, AI, big data, that there's, an increased number of European unicorns that come to the market, gigabit connectivity, and also, semiconductor production. So really kind of interesting, thoughtful, forward-thinking approach in order to ensure the EU's ongoing success. Now, part of that, and the part that I want to talk about for you is the cybersecurity strategy that forms part of this Digital Decade Initiative. And really what this is getting at is ensuring that the European Union's resilience against cyber threats, and to ensure that citizens and businesses can benefit from trustworthy technologies. And this is a key component of this broader initiative, this Digital Decade Initiative, and it's really aligned with the EU's own security strategy. And the cyber resilience strategy is looking at it from a number of perspectives. One, it's looking at resilience and technological sovereignty. So enhancing the EU's ability to prevent, deter, and respond to attacks, and to ensure that appropriate technologies are being developed through the EU as well. And that furthermore, that there's operational capacity as well within the EU to be able to respond to major cybersecurity incidents as well, and to be able to allow for international cooperation and to pooling of resources. And as part of that, there's, as you can see here, there's a much broader element to all of this, but there's strategy for data, there's privacy, there's AI. The purpose of my session, I'm going to look at 3 of them. I'm going to look at the Network and Information Services Directive 2, NIS2, the Digital Operational Resilience Act, DORA, and also the Cyber Resilience Act as well. There is the Cybersecurity Act. I could quickly mention that really what the Cybersecurity Act, it's been around since 2019. It has a couple of roles. The first is to give a permanent mandate to the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity. It also establishes the cybersecurity certification framework for ICT products, services, and processes. And it also kind of gives a greater mandate as well in terms of voluntary European cybersecurity certification schemes. It's in relation to the 3 other pieces of legislation that I want to talk about, primarily on the basis that for startups and for businesses who are providing cybersecurity services or products or entering into that space, you're likely going to be doing business with another business that's going to be caught by these regulations. And these regulations have flow down obligations on them that mean that you're going to have to be able to negotiate and comply and sign up for very specific rules and obligations in relation to depending on which framework your customer falls under. So taking one at a time, giving you a sense in terms of what the Network and Information Systems Directive looks to achieve. This is a directive, and this is the kind of the bedrock of the cybersecurity strategy. It replaces the original NIS directive. It expands greatly a number of scope and requirements in terms of who this applies to and what they're required to do. Its core objective is to improve cybersecurity resilience and incident response, and it's to ensure a high level of security for network and information security systems. And how it does that, sorry, I've skipped ahead there, and how it does that is by providing obligations on businesses who fall within the scope of NIS2 to ensure that they have appropriate risk management provisions, so that they implement cybersecurity risk management measures that are appropriate, proportionate, that they have adequate incident response mechanisms, and they've got very tight timelines to report incidents under NIS2, which kicks off with a 24-hour early warning that needs to be notified to competent authorities. They also need to ensure that they've got business continuity measures as well, disaster recovery plans, and importantly as well for today's session as well is supply chain security, so that if you fall under scope under NIS2, you need to evaluate and manage risks posed by your suppliers as well. The directive itself is quite broad, and it applies to a significant number of entities. As you can see here, there's 2 annexes to the directive. You've got some high critical sectors such as energy to financial infrastructure, and then you've got other critical sectors such as food production, manufacturing, waste management, and indeed digital providers. And depending on your location, the size of your business, in terms of both turnover and staff, and whether you fall within any of these sectors is really how you're going to assess whether or not you're in scope of it. And the point that I'd make here is that whilst you might not be directly in scope of NIS2, there's a good chance, given the breadth of this directive, that at some point you're going to be doing business with an entity that is in fact in scope. And that entity is obliged to ensure that you have sufficient cybersecurity measures in yourself as part of the services that you might be services or products that you might be providing to that entity. DORA then, so the Digital Operations Resilience Act is a different kind of beast. It's looking to achieve the same thing. So it's really focusing on ensuring operational resilience, but it's primarily focused on financial entities. So think payment service providers, banks, credit institutions, crypto, blockchain, insurance, you name it. And if there's money, if there's a handling in terms of a currency or something of to that effect, it's likely going to be caught by DORA. And it also expands further into suppliers who provide ICT services to those entities. And depending on whether you're a critical or non-critical ICT service provider, you're going to have varying degree of obligations that need to be specifically contracted for when you enter into an ICT service agreement with an entity, with a financial entity that is caught by DORA. So again, what DORA is doing is again strengthening the resilience of financial entities, their ability to withstand cyber threats, to harmonize digital operational resilience requirements across the EU. And similar kind of language that we're dealing with for NIS2 is that, having appropriate risk management measures must be in place. Incident reporting is going to be significant. And to be honest, it's nearly worse under, it is worse under DORA. If you're in scope here, you've got, in particular cases, you've got 4 hours to notify your competent authority in certain cases if you've been caught by this. There's also testing and monitoring, so regular testing of ICT systems, and indeed key suppliers to financial entities fall within that testing, so which is a threat-led penetration testing as well, which will include red teaming, blue teaming, etc. And then again, like I've been mentioning here in relation to NIS2 as well, is this third-party risk management, assessing and managing risks associated with third-party ICT service providers. It's a broad piece of legislation. It's directly applicable in member states. So a point that I should have said for NIS2 is that because it's a directive, it's on each member state within the EU to implement it locally. So for NIS2, there's going to be local variances of NIS2 that's going to apply in each case for each member state. So there'll be an Irish version, there'll be a German version, there'll be an Italian version, etc. Whereas for DORA, it applies already in a similar way that GDPR applies, and that it is what it is, and that there's no escaping it. So that's NIS2, and that is DORA. The third piece of legislation that I'd like to mention, these slides will be available after this session as well. Here's just a list of the financial companies and the types of ICT service providers. So again, ICT service provider is a very, very broad interpretation. You're going to be a hard place to argue that you're not in it, where you provide any type of cloud services, hardware-related services, or indeed support services as well tied with your service or product. The last one then I want to mention briefly is the Cyber Resilience Act, and it's a really interesting one as well because it's aimed at enhancing the cybersecurity products with digital elements. And what it's trying to do, or seeking to achieve, is currently there's quite a fragmented legislative framework in relation to products and cybersecurity, and the aim here is to create a more unified approach so that it's running concurrently with the likes of NIS2 and indeed with DORA. And it does this by ensuring that products with digital elements are secure throughout their entire life cycle, and it enables customers and consumers to make very informed choices when it comes to cybersecurity as well. And the main types of requirements that it sets out is that products must meet essential cybersecurity requirements during design, development, and production phases. Vulnerability handling, must be able to establish processes for handling vulnerabilities throughout a product's lifespan. Market surveillance as well, ensuring that there's harmonized rules for making products available on the market. And this is going to apply to all products with digital elements. There's going to be some very specific exclusions, such as medical devices and indeed aviation. But again, this is another very broad piece of legislation that is going to have is going to impact a number of businesses, whether they're coming new to the market or they're already existing, who have a role to play within cybersecurity. And here is just kind of a quick kind of like, am I in scope for the CRA, that it can kind of help you make an informed decision at the start in relation to your own product and service when at the design phase and considering going to the market as well. So what does all of this mean? What am I hoping to kind of get across, in terms of key takeaways here, is that the landscape, the legal landscape for cybersecurity for businesses within the EU is changing, and it's changing quite dramatically since COVID, effectively. And what's so important for businesses starting off is to know your customer base and to understand their dependencies. Are they critical? Are they important? Are they caught directly by NIS2, by DORA, by CRA? And if so, How can you accommodate that, and how can you ensure that you can do business with them appropriately? Second to that as well is walk the walk. Make sure that your own cybersecurity measures are in order as well, in terms of risk management, incident response, protocols, cybersecurity training, and be able to document that and be able to evidence compliance as well. Because an important part, like I've been saying, is that supply chain is a huge element of all of this. So whilst you might not be directly in scope, there's a good chance that your customer or who you supply to is in scope, and you need to be able to evidence that you have appropriate cybersecurity measures yourself. And what this also means then is that you need to be able to be prepared to negotiate. So cybersecurity is now, and I'm seeing it all in much more often now, is that it's becoming a much more significant contract item, both in terms of liability, indemnification, and other elements such as audit rights and cooperation. How are you going to cooperate with your customer if they suffer an incident? And what audit rights and access rights are you going to be able to allow for them in order to assess your own compliance with various rules and procedures for cybersecurity? And then the other three are they're generic, but I think they're just equally as important. And, by being on this session, attending on this session today, you're staying informed, you're keeping up to date with changes in the EU cybersecurity regulations landscape. You're engaging with industry groups and cybersecurity experts to ensure that there's an alignment in terms of your own best practices as well, not just what you offer to your customer. And the key message without all this is that given so many businesses are now going to have their own cybersecurity obligations, legal obligations that they need to comply with, by having strong cybersecurity measures or being able to assist clients with comply with their own cybersecurity measures, you're really enhancing and developing customer trust and reputation. And very quick intro, very quick session. I know that I had only about 10 minutes. I think I've run over that just a little bit, Fionnuala, but that's a quick overview. And like I said, the slides I'll be able to make available as well after this as well for attendees.
Fantastic, Lorcan. Thank you. It was quick, and but lots of good information, and it was great to concentrate on those three key areas that are very pertinent, particularly to the startups that we're working with. And I know we're going to continue the EU regulation conversation now. But listen, thank you so much for your for coming online today and sharing your experience. And we will share those slides as well. So thank you.
No problem, Fionnuala. Thank you very much, all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm delighted to introduce one of the partners on Seeds of Bravery, Anastasia Shilova, who is a legal expert and who is very involved in providing information, programs and initiatives to help the Seeds of Bravery startups with taxation, IP, data protection and legal support. So is really at the coalface of working with the startups and has been instrumental with her partners and team to develop certain workshops that they've been delivering recently to the Seeds of Bravery beneficiaries. So Anastasia, if you would like to turn on your camera and your microphone, and we will, there you are. Good to see you. And if you want to share your screen, Anastasia is going to cover a few more of the EU regulations, but not overlapping with DLA, that will be relevant for our startups. So Anastasia, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, dear participants. Thank you, Fionnuala, for introducing me. So warm. So warm introduction is I'm really appreciated. And now I need a few seconds to launch my presentation. Yes.
That looks good. Well done. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. And when we talk about legal regulation of personal data processing in the European Union, the first thing what comes to mind is GDPR, which is a foundational law regulation, the processing of individuals' personal data in the European Union. A key feature of the GDPR is its extraterritorial scope. The rules apply not only to companies based in the European Union, but also to any data controllers, processors outside the European Union if they offer goods or services to individuals in the European Union or monitor their behavior. This means that even Ukrainian businesses working with clients or users from the European Union fall under the scope of the regulation of the GDPR. It establishes a number of core principles that serves as the foundation for ensuring personal data protection. This include lawfulness, fairness and transparency, purpose limitation, data minimization, accuracy, storage limitation, integrity and confidentiality, and also accountability. For businesses, this means implementing a number of practical steps to demonstrate their compliance, as you can see after. First, detailed record or personal data processing must be kept, including data categories, purposes, types of data subject and recipients. Second, clear data protection policies must be developed and implemented, covering data collection, processing, storage, deleting, and security measures. Third, a data protection impact assessment, like DPIA, must be conducted for high-risk processing operations, particularly those involving technologies like AI. Next, the principle of privacy by design must be embedded during product and service development. And also data processing system must be regularly audited and reviewed, and sometime a data protection officer must be appointed if large-scale monitoring or processing of sensitive data is carried out. The GDPR established two types of fines. For procedural violations, the fines up to 10 million euros or 2% of the company's total global annual turnover, and for substantive violations for user rights or the core principles of processing, the fines up to 20 million euros or 4% of the company's total global annual turnover. And what is new we can see in GDPR connected area now. In 2023, the European Union and United States introduced a new framework agreement, the Transatlantic Data Privacy Framework, designed to simplify legal data transfers from European Union to United States. Also, the European Data Protection Board in 2024 report emphasized strengthening and modernizing data protection in Europe, ensuring consistent application of the GDPR and addressing new challenges, including cross-border cooperation. The EDPB has also issued new guidelines regarding legitimation interest and data transfers to public authorities in third countries. Another trend of the past year is a focus on protecting children and sensitive data. Also, influence of the GDPR is felt on the AI Act, which regulates the development and use of AI systems, which often rely on personal data for training. Finally, the influence of the GDPR is felt not only within the European Union, and Ukraine is also updating its personal data protection legislation. And in 2023, a new law of Ukraine on personal data protection was adopted, which largely harmonize Ukrainian rules with European standards. In addition to the GDPR, the European Union has an e-privacy directive, which is often referred to as a cookie law. E-privacy sets specific rules regarding the use of cookies and other tracking technologies, and also regulates electronic marketing and communications. It complements the GDPR by providing more specific requirements for the field of electronic communication. According to the directive, a website cannot load trackers or advertising cookies without the explicit consent of the user. Similar, for example, cold calls, spam emails, or unsolicited SMS messages are not allowed, only with prior consent. At the same time, like the GDPR, e-privacy has an extraterritorial effect and based on the same core ideas. There is a distinction between essential cookies and not essential cookies. Essential cookies, those strictly necessary for the functioning of the website and do not require user consent. Not essential cookies, those used for tracking, analytics, and marketing, which do require explicit consent of the user. To obtain this consent, businesses must implement a cookie consent banner, which must be transparent, give users the option to choose between different cookies categories, and allow them to easily withdraw consent at any time. It is also essential to provide an accessible and understandable privacy policy and cookie policy, which must be shown on the website. The last I want to mention is the Digital Services Act. The DSA is a new regulatory act that came into force quite recently. The DSA significantly updates the rules for internet platforms and digital services, and it replaces the outdated e-commerce directive. While the GDPR and e-privacy focus on privacy and data, the DSA focuses on online content and platform safety, and its goal is to create a more transparent and secure digital environment where users' rights are protected and platforms are clearly responsible for what happens on their sites. The DSA affects a wide range of services, like internet providers, hosting providers, online platforms, and very large online platforms, so-called VLOPs, while over 45 million users in the European Union. The DSA requires online platforms to clearly publish terms of service, outline prohibited content, and consequences for violations. Platform must also implement internal complaint system and transparent, user-friendly notice and action mechanism. For example, report button with real review and feedback. DSA introduces a risk-based approach, which is mean large platforms must identify and mitigate systemic risks, for example, disinformation, child harm, cybersecurity, remove illegal content, report moderation efforts, and may undergo external audits. Certain manipulative practices like dark patterns are illegal targeting and banned. The DSA mandates a prompt action against illegal and harmful content and requires a mechanism for users to report it. Platforms are not liable for illegal user content until they are made aware, after which it must be removed promptly. Also, platforms must publish annual transparency report detailing moderation efforts. Marketplaces must verify businesses' sellers under Know You Business Customer rules to prevent illegal sales. Like the GDPR, the DSA applies extraterritorial and any service targeting European Union users. The DSA provides for extremely serious penalties for non-compliance. It's up to 6% of global annual turnover for serious violations, for example, failure to moderate illegal content or systemic manipulation of the algorithm. Next is up to 1% of global annual turnover for providing false or incomplete information to regulators during the audits. And next is daily fines up to 5% of average daily turnover in case of non-compliance with European Commission decisions. It is all about money fines, but also there is a fine like blocking accessing to the European Union market, and it can happen in case of systematic and repeated violations of the DSA. The DSA has been fully applicable since 17 February of 2024 for most service providers. In November 2024, the European Commission published the implemented regulation on a transparency report under the DSA, which established standardized templates and reporting periods. Data collection will begin on 1st July 2025, and the first report are expected in early 2026. In 2024, a number of platforms were officially designed as vlogs, including Shein, Meta, Temu, TikTok, and X. The European Commission has published guidelines for VLOPs and VLOSs on mitigating systematic online risks, especially those that may affect the integrity of election. Ongoing investigation into vlogs such as Meta, X, and Temu highlight the key areas for concern for the European Commission regarding DSA compliance, such as content moderation, advertising transparency, and the sale of illegal goods. At the same time, there are also positive examples of DSA implementation. This case is about TikTok platform. In the end, I want to say that the new rules and the enforcement clearly demonstrate that user protection, fighting illegal content, and ensuring transparency have now become mandatory standards for operating online services in Europe. Violations can result not only in fines, but also in restrictions or full blocking of access to the European Union market. Thank you for attention, and if you have some question, you can contact with our team on LinkedIn or with me on LinkedIn. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Anastasia. A lot of detail and data for people to digest there. So thank you for sharing that with us. I know we're running a little bit behind, but hopefully people will bear with us. We have just 20 minutes left of our webinar. So we will now move on to Artem Mikhailov, a partner in ISSP, who has 15 years experience in cybersecurity, director of enterprise solutions and partner in ISSP, working with businesses on their cybersecurity plans. So Artem, you're very welcome. You have an interesting topic of now and the future of cybersecurity. So we'll look forward to hearing more about that. The floor is yours, Artem.
Cool. Thank you very much. And hi, everyone. It's great to be here today among such inspiring lineup of speakers, and the information is very fruitful. So I'll try to be on a high level, but give me just a second to share my presentation. Here it is. No, it's not. And nope. I have prepared everything to be able to share very quickly. And once you let me into the floor, everything has changed on my laptop. Very strange. Oh, here it is. So you should see my screen.
We do indeed. Absolutely. That's perfect, Artem.
Perfect. So, yep, the final thing here. So, yeah. Hi, everyone again. The topic I'm sharing today is, as Fenella said, and I personally find it particularly exciting and also challenging because it's a futuristic topic about making sense of the future of cybersecurity. Now, this topic is huge, while the previous speeches were very fruitful and we got just 10 minutes. So what I'll do is I'll highlight a few recent facts that I believe are worth attention, and then walk through what we really need to focus on in the next few years in terms of cybersecurity. So with that said, why my presentation is not clicking? Jesus. Yep. So it's a short information about me. Finally, thank you for the intro. I wouldn't stop here just to save a couple of minutes. If anyone wants to get in touch with me, please follow the link to my personal page. But in short, I'm more than 15 years in cybersecurity, occupying different roles from engineering, moving into project delivery, and eventually leading business and strategic development of cybersecurity projects and products across different regions. So let's focus on where we are now. And there are a couple of facts. So the first one, we're living in turbulent times in general, and I would say it's global instability, rising geopolitical tensions, and looming economy recession probably. And honestly, it feels like a modern day Wild West, though it's not just about the West anymore. So we have just to set the tone, couple of facts again. First is the talent shortage. Everybody knows about it. It's real, it's growing, and despite all the boot camps and scholarships, we don't have a solid plan to solve it globally. I heard some are struggling to find a job in cybersecurity, but usually it's because of the lack of expertise of the candidate rather than the lack of market demand. And in most cases, vacancies aren't filled for months, if not years. So the second one is the, comparing our industry to some others, we're still very small. Global cybersecurity market sits somewhere between $160 and $250 billion, depending on the source, obviously, and it's very hard to calculate the exact number, to be honest, because we're, very tightly related into IT spendings in general. But anyway, let's assume that these numbers are okay, and that's not much compared to where we should be ideally. So now let's mention the cyber impunity. Russia has showed the world that you can do anything in cyberspace. because no attribution, at least no legal attribution, no sanctions, just business as usual. And cyber has become a cozy tool for dictators, I would say. And there are here are the things where they get a little bit more scary. You probably heard about this one, but in early 2024, and it's almost 1.5 years ago, right? Hackers used deepfake technology to impersonate a company executives in Hong Kong, and in a video call, they stole $25 million. Not a single bullet fired, right? So it was 1.5 years ago, and we'll see what exciting and tremendous results the recent LLMs and video generation LLMs and sound generation LLMs are capable of. In just a month ago, North Korean hackers pulled off the largest digital asset theft in history, 1.5 billion from Bybit, the cryptocurrency exchange. And most of it successfully laundered. So this is not cyberpunk fiction, it's real, and it's happening right now. So what coming next, actually? And I have a couple of slides about, let's say, predictions or the vision, what is probably going to wait us next. So obviously, the two letters AI are very, very prominent for adversaries, I would say. Artificial intelligence is already reshaping how cyber attacks are carried out. And let's take a look at few examples on adversary implications of AI. So first and most obvious, AI in phishing, right? Not just spelling corrected emails like they used to do with Google Translate or whatever service. Now they are becoming highly personalized, believable. The scenarios which are tailored using data scraped from across the whole internet, from all the social medias, company pages, etc., dark web corners, and so on. And we just see how our users, which we protect from our clients, are suffering from distinguishing basically the real email from the fake one. Second is the malware permutations. So they no longer need months to develop a payload. They don't need sophisticated programmers to know how to build the evasion techniques built into the payload. They're not able to do it. They're now able to do it particularly on the fly. So third is the autonomous recon and attack. Think of AI scanning your organizational digital footprint, mapping your infrastructure, and launching a targeted campaign without a human in the loop. Well, it's a little bit too futuristic, but generally speaking, the automative workflows with AI agents are making this more and more possible. Fourth, the attack design and orchestration. So now the entry level to the hacking world in general is lower than ever. You could say, but ChatGPT and the other commercial LLMs, they have censorship, and it can be easily used for crafting cyber attacks. While it's true, it's also true that there are special local LLMs like Worm GPT or many others crafted by hackers for hackers, where the censorship is simply not there. So it is designed to be used to craft phishing scenarios, payloads, analyzing the infrastructure, proposing the scenarios for attacks, etc. Obviously, deepfakes, like in the example we had in the beginning. Most of us here today probably have seen these funny videos of celebrities impersonation, and in Hong Kong it was not so funny in the hedge fund, which was robbed basically. We can't trust what we see, and we can't trust what we hear anymore. And this is a huge challenge for us and for society in general. The next is the MCP vulnerability. So there is a new kind of IT environment architecture, the MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. And actually, this is the open source protocol, which was developed by an enterprise called Anthropic as an open standard to build complex AI systems with multiple agents and data sources. And on top of that, the workflow automations that could, bring some magic to the table. It's a brand new stuff, and for quite a time, we will have, many 0 days discovered in the next few years. And we see the passion with which our customers and other companies on the market that try to implement and test and roll out very quickly, the workflows using AI agents. It's really a big challenge for cybersecurity guys. Cyber attack flow automation, right? This is something which stands on top of the attack design and orchestration. And in essence, we are not the only ones who is going to use MCP. Hackers already leverage this approach as well. Okay, so what else the future has prepared for us? The good side of the AI thing is the 2 letters AI again, but now let's talk about AI for defense. And the first kid on the block and the dream of many threat hunters around the world are AI-driven threat detection, right? Behavioral analytics and also the anomaly detection, sorry. I believe this is, quite self-explanatory. We want to inject lots of unstructured data about, the telemetry, the behavior statistics into the smart AI security operations center and get the actionable response on anomalies and the suggestion on what to do with them next, right? Then it goes the predictive modeling and security orchestration and automation response. This is another dream, but in this case, the dream of the SOC manager who is tired of his team alert fatigue. We all know this is the big issue in the industry right now, and it looks like the AI could effectively solve it, at least make the specialist focus on real stuff. And, some of the, actually another week, me and my SOC team had a chance to study about 20 new vendors, which claim they already have the technology, either AI MDR or AI SOAR. Anyway, the world is surely not there yet, but getting closer to it because they were successful in filtering out lots of false positives, usually more than the traditional SOCs are able to do with some conventional means. So the last but not the least is the AI-powered deception technologies. It's not obvious, but we find it very interesting. Imagine a tool which is highly dynamic and ideally mimics your infrastructure in real time, including fake replies to phishing emails, deploying new services once you really start to use some new services. Wouldn't it be awesome to mislead the adversaries with precision? So it's definitely just, the topping in general, and I wish we could dive deeper, but let's move on here. The market. What does the market say? So market is expected to triple by 2030. We had some slides from 33M today, and I know in previous events we discussed this in more details, and I wouldn't stop here, but we also could hit nearly $500 billion by 2040. Again, the numbers looks awesome, but my personal feeling is that we should have arrived there much more earlier than 2040, right? Considering the challenges, the threats, and the risks which the world imposes today. But the number which I find even more interesting is the Morgan Stanley estimates that generative AI for cybersecurity alone is a 30 billion opportunity, right? They say that nowadays analysts spend 30 to 40% for reporting, which obviously could be highly automated. Now, what else should we keep our eyes on? The last on my list today is actually regulations. We got NIS2, DORA, GDPR, ISO updates, many other new and early standards for AI as well. And Lorcan has beautifully overviewed this landscape, and Anastasia has shared the GDPR stuff just before me. So it's clear that it's overwhelming, and the landscape is getting more fragmented with every new framework or every new regulation, better to say. And to that avalanche of enterprise stuff, we also get, enterprise requirements. We also get the questionnaires from enterprises who also develop their own standards for evaluating the supply chains, the third-party risks, and all together it's already hard, but it's going to probably become even more complicated with time. So eventually we should see some kind of consolidation, but until then it's a compliance jungle and we need to navigate it and not ignore it. So how do we prepare for this future, essentially? Let me show you something. So this is a Black Energy APT attack, which took place about 10 years ago. The first cyber attack which caused blackout in Ukraine, in several regions actually, only using cyberspace. So there was no any conventional type of elements of attack. So this took actually on the timeline, and I return here. You see the the lines are the timeline. You see the manual actions, some scripts, user accounts. Anyway, this is the result of investigation. It's just to show you that the whole picture, the whole operation, I would say, it took about 6 months. It took from 23rd of April to 25th of October. And now imagine that the same thing with AI, right? Instant recon, automated exploitation, no human fatigue at all. And that's where we are actually heading, right? So here's how I believe we should prepare. First, prioritize cybersecurity. It's a very common thing which many cybersecurity experts desire to have and speak on the conferences. But still, I would repeat it. This is not just an IT risk, and it is not just an IT task. It's a board-level issue. Cyber is business risk, period, and that's it. However, it's easier to say than to implement. So still, we should try it. The second one is the investment thing, right? So what we tend to see, especially working with smaller businesses, if enterprises are fully blocked from different angles with various regulations and obligations in front of other companies, the smaller businesses, they usually react when something has happened or they really need some compliance piece of paper, right? So don't wait for a breach. Fund the basics, MFA, patching, awareness training, and yes, cyber hygiene is still the best ROI for cybersecurity, especially for smaller teams. And cybersecurity is always a budget-hungry, piece of investments, and it's important basically to prioritize, right? And how we can prioritize is by understanding our risks. So map your assets, assess your exposure, make this a living process, not just a one-time exercise which you do one time before you get the SOC 2 report or something like that. This would help to implement the controls wisely and invest wisely. And fourth, build a security-first culture. Everyone in your company owns a piece of cyber puzzle, right? So from interns to executives, make them part of the solution and not a part of the problem.
So hello, everyone. I'm Olena Malchik. I work at Luxinnovation, Luxembourg National Innovation Agency. So I will be your host for this closing part of the webinar. So now, without delay, I would like to give the floor to Yaroslava Vasilenko from a Ukrainian startup, HiDis, who will present her startup. So Yaroslava, the floor is yours.
Hi, hello, Olena. Thanks for introduction. So my name is Yaroslava. I am CMO at HiDis, and our company is a cybersecurity startup helping organizations secure and simplify workflows by eliminating passwords from the daily life of their employees. The problem of passwords is not something new. We've all known that they are not safe and not convenient, but employees still have to use them everywhere, from logging into workstations to signing into accounts. And on top of that, employees often have to use multi-factor authentication to comply with regulations like the NIS2 or GDPR. And if we imagine dynamic work environments such as hospitals, banks, or government agencies, authentication has become a nightmare there because employees frequently use shared workstations or move between different areas, which forces them to repeat the same login steps many times a day. Surprisingly, this doesn't even guarantee security because according to 2024 data, at least 25% of employees regularly forget to lock their computers when they step away, and more than half of organizations still rely only on passwords to get access to some resources. And what is even more concerning is that authentication weaknesses are the key factor that still leads to 91% of data breaches. That's just crazy. This is why we have developed an identity management system that enables passwordless access, covering all those repeatable actions for employees. It can either supplement existing identity management systems like Microsoft Entra, Okta, etc., or it can also be used as an independent identity provider deployed in the cloud or locally to support complex hybrid IT infrastructures, which are typical for industries like finance, government, or healthcare. And eventually, we have tried to replace passwords with 3 methods. The first one is passkeys, which basically means biometric access. So employees can basically sign into accounts and pass 2-factor authentication by scanning a fingerprint or using Face ID directly on their smartphones or laptops. The second method we have is a mobile app. It provides access to web services and unlocks personal or shared computers based on unique dynamic QR codes. And our last tool is AxisBIC, our proprietary hardware token, which is designed for the most complex authentication scenarios. It can cover access to web services, to legacy systems. It can lock and unlock computers based on the distance between the user and the computer. And it can also unlock electronic doors in the office, potentially replacing all RFID key cards that employees usually are supposed to carry. So the end result would look like a fully passwordless authentication experience. It provides strong protection against phishing and other identity-based attacks, accelerates the speed of login by 2-3 times on average, and prevents organizations from paying for multiple tools to comply with security regulations. Our products are certified against the FIDO2 and FIDO-U2F standards, which means they are adhered to the principles of passwordless access and zero trust framework. And also, AxisBIC has been approved by the State Service of Special Communications of Ukraine, which authorizes its use in the public sector. We already gained some visible traction in Ukraine, working with the biggest pharmaceutical company, Pharmak, and several government agencies. Our most notable client here is the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. And right now, our monthly recurring revenue is around 20,000 euros. Our business model relies on channel partnerships with IT distributors, system integrators, and value-added resellers that can basically sell our solutions and provide ongoing tech support. We already have an exclusive partnership with the company called Bacotech. It distributes our products in Ukraine and Eastern Europe. And right now we are going to look for strategic partnerships in Western Europe. And our primary focus here would be the DACH region and Benelux, where we observe growing interest in our technologies. We already have one pilot in Germany where employees of the ProCredit Bank are testing our system with AxisBIC. And by 2026, we hope to reach 1 million in annual revenue and proceed to a Series A round to conquer new markets and expand our partner network in North America and beyond. I hope this short presentation and pitch has been helpful. If there's something you'd like to learn more about, let's connect on LinkedIn, and we'd be happy to provide more information. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Yaroslava, for your pitch. So please stop sharing your screen. Perfect. Thanks a lot. So I would like just to highlight that you are part of Seeds of Bravery project. So maybe just in few words, can you share your experience with Seeds of Bravery and your journey? Thank you.
Yeah, our experience has been pretty positive so far because we could refine our go-to-market strategy and align it closer with the EU market because the cybersecurity landscape is a little bit different here compared to Ukraine. It has stricter compliance rules. It has more readiness for cloud-based solutions and higher level of awareness in terms of cybersecurity products in general. And over the program, we could take part in several demo days. We got meshed with a few contacts that I hope may support our growth in the future. For example, we are thinking of joining the FinTech circle that unites startups under the Luxembourg Bankers Association. And we also had a chance to apply for several tech conferences thanks to Seeds of Bravery. Though I'm still waiting for the outcome for some conferences, the overall impression has been really positive because you provide an array of opportunities for startups that go really far beyond just simple financial support, and that's very valuable.
Thanks a lot, Yaroslava. So thanks a lot for your pitch. Thanks a lot for answering the questions. So unfortunately, we are running out of time. So thanks a lot for being with us. Mm-hmm. So now I will wrap up this session. Thanks a lot, Yaroslava. Bye-bye. So now we'll just wrap up this session. So please, next slide. So we just would like to thank, of course, all of our speakers, all of our audience, but to all organizing partners behind this workshop, so Erasmus Centre for Entrepreneurship, AxisBIC, Innovate, and Luxinnovation. So just a quick reminder about our next workshops. You can see them on this slide, and it will also be sent to you in the follow-up email. So please have a look on those afterwards. We would like also to remind you that all our workshops are recorded. So, and this one was recorded too. You will be able to watch it afterwards on our YouTube channel. I guess it's our last slide. So, so thanks a lot for all our speakers, to our audience. Дякуємо, thank you, and goodbye.